Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. Today, I am joined, of course, I'm just lowly old Nick here, but I am joined today by a legend, and I can't emphasize legend enough. He's a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. It's the one and the only. It's the Wildfire, Tommy Rich. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I am doing wonderful. It's great to be on your show, Nick. But I tell you what, I'm not tapping out. I'm tapping in, baby.
There you go. You're going to get a hot tag. That's what we'll go for. With this episode, we'll call it
a hot tag. There you go.
Because nobody fires up like the Wildfire, and I can't stress to you enough. I mean, when I made this announcement to the staff and some family members, you can't imagine the amount of reception that I got. If anything, I have my mother-in-law, by the way, Mary Jane Clay. When I told her, you put me over more than anything you can possibly imagine. My mother-in-law doesn't even watch wrestling anymore. God bless her, she's in her 70s. And she said, oh, my God, Tommy Rich was the finest thing. I cannot believe you're talking to the Wildfire.
Oh, yeah. All the mamas love me, man. That mama-in-law.
Well, I mean, it's not just the moms, man. I tell you, every member on this team, I've got a guy out of Canada, Lewis, who does a show for us, man. He is probably, could quite possibly be the absolute biggest Tommy Rich fan I've ever met in my entire life. I thought he was going to try to kill me to get this interview. I mean, you're just super over. You still are hot as it can be.
Yeah, and it's just thanks to folks like you, the Bill actors, Gordon Solis, and most of all, the blessings from the good Lord, man. And, it's hard enough in this business just to stay alive for 10 years, and here I am 40 years later. So my biggest shout-out goes to all the wrestling fans that hadn't forgotten me, because if not for them, I wouldn't still be here today living my dream and fixing to do another step in my dream. I'm fixing to move. Well, we're in the process. I'm in Atlanta right now. We're packing up some stuff and carrying back to Myrtle Beach. We've been moving a little bit at a time. But we're fixing to open the Tommy Wildfire Rich School of Wrestling. Grand opening is August the 5th and 6th, which is a Saturday and Sunday. It'll be from 12 to 4. I want everybody to know this meet and greet now. Most people charge. You get Tony Atlas, Mr. USA will be there, the Universal Heartthrob, Austin Idol, which don't come out very often, very good friend of mine, and of course myself, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Tommy Wildfire Rich, who will be running the wrestling school. I just want everybody to know it'll be free admission. You get a free 8x10. It's located at the X Gym Sports Complex at 568 Bishop Parkway in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And if you want to join the school, you can go to C. Morris at WrestlerWeekly.com, or you can contact my man, Chris Morris, at phone number 336-862-5528. And that's down at BR549. Hee-Haw, Junior Samples coming in.
Well, I'm glad you got that in there, because we wanted to make sure that everybody's aware. If you're good, we get a lot, wrestlers talking to us about how do we get into the business. What do I do? What do I do? And I always tell people what you need to do is you need to find a reputable school with somebody who's actually done something in the business and who's paid their due. They know what they're talking about. And Tommy Wildfire Rich is pretty much at the top of that food chain, wouldn't you say, when it comes to being able to say, hey, somebody's done something, drawing some money, and can teach you how to work. I mean, who else would you want to learn from than a legend like Tommy Wildfire Rich? Wouldn't you think?
I don't know about all that, but I tell you this, I've danced with all the best, man. I mean, you name them, I've wrestled them, and I've learned something from every one of them. And what we'll be teaching is old school psychology. It's going to be like it used to be. I mean, we're going to be running wrestling shows down the road. So the boys we train that produce and graduate, they'll have the opportunity to wrestle in front of folks. I mean, it ain't just school that we're going to let you go. You'll have the opportunity to wrestle, because we plan on running some shows starting in October. We're going to do our first one, and we're going to do a big Halloween night. And it's the psychology, the stories, the selling, it's a lot. I was very blessed. I mean, I got in and they might make more money today, but it was definitely not the learning experience it was back when I started. And I wouldn't swap it for the world. I mean, here I am 40 years later, still kicking it hard. And, and that's cause of wrestling fans, man. They still out there and they still love them some Tommy Wildfire Rich. And I love me some wrestling fans too. I still enjoy going in the ring. I can't do it 7 days a week no more, but there ain't no 7-day-a-week territories out there. So I'm a weekend warrior, I guess, like everybody else, unless you work for WWE. And, so I'm happy where I'm at in my life. I mean, I've got an opportunity to move to Myrtle Beach. Most folks go there to retire. I'm going down there with a new chapter in my life, starting a wrestling school, still doing something I love, and starting a little wrestling promotion on top of that. So big shout out to my friend Dave Brown that's made a lot of this possible, and just all the folks that's got behind me, Austin Idol, Tony Atlas. The response has been so good. You don't know how many friends you got out there that you need somebody to help you, and it's just all come together. It's been a great experience so far. We'll see how it goes, but I'm excited.
Well, we wish you the best. I mean, I know, it's something that this business needs right now is a lot. They need some good schools out there that's going to teach a little bit of psychology. We're not going to beat up on some of the wrestling that's going on right now. That's not what we're here to do, but anybody from the old school that can teach a little psychology, I think is a really good thing with the storytelling, the selling. And one thing I always tell each other is you don't have to kill each other to put on a great story. I mean, would you agree with that?
I don't know. I wrestled Buzz Sawyer, Abdullah the Butcher. I wrestled Stan Hansen. I wrestled some boys that did beat you up pretty hard.
Well, you brought it up. I was actually going to go to this story later, but we'll go out of sequential order here. I do want to ask you about something that's come. It was one of the most famous matches of all time, and for a long time, nobody that wasn't in that building didn't see it. But you brought up Buzz Sawyer, so let's talk about the last Battle of Atlanta, which, in my opinion, inspired what now is called Hell in a Cell up at WWE. But that thing was released now on the network, so now there's a whole generation of fans that never saw this match. Now they're seeing it. What I got to ask you. So last Battle of Atlanta, man. I need a good story for that one.
Man, it built. Shoot, I mean, you figured I wrestled Buzz Sawyer across the country for 2 years, probably one of the longest feuds in wrestling history. Started a new phenomenon for WWE. I mean, that's the only time they call me to talk about when they had the Hell in the Cell. They want to know my story, where it originated. Well, it originated at the Omni in Atlanta. I mean, it was a rough-looking cage, but it was the first of the Hell in the Cell type. And to get in there with Buzz Sawyer, it was like Hell in the Cell. I mean, we beat the daylights out of each other for close to 30 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, and it was brutal. You guys put on, and I was, that was my, I was 10 years old when that match went down, believe it or not, and still to this day cannot get enough of it watching it on the network. I mean, it is probably one of the most brutal matches, and like I said, it inspired a whole generation now of Hell in a Cells, which, in my opinion, just me, I don't think it lives up to that one, but that's just me. What, would you agree?
Well, the cage is a lot prettier.
Well,
I don't know. Them boys get in there and work hard, and it's a dangerous match. I ain't got nothing bad to say about nobody, but just some of the bridges I've crossed in this business. I mean, hiding under the ring against Jerry Lawler. I mean, there's a lot of things I've done in this business that just, are landmarks in the business. And it just very blessed there again, the right spot, the right time.
Absolutely, you did good. You actually walked me again. Pardon me. I'm gonna jump around in time here. But I wanted to ask you. You brought up Jerry Lawler, and earlier you mentioned, Austin Idol's going to be at the school for the grand opening, August 5th and 6th, up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Remember, you can get a 8x10. It's free. Come on up, meet Wildfire, meet Austin Idol, Tony Atlas, and and like I said, if you want interested in joining the school, give them a call at 336-862-5528. But the reason I went there is because I wanted to ask you about a feud. This one was pretty influential in my life because here in Georgia, I'm sure you remember a little old show we had called Superstars of Wrestling that came on Saturday nights with Joe Pedicino and Bonnie Blackstone, which of course brought us Memphis wrestling. So I'm going to ask you about Austin Idol. Jerry Lawler had this little feud going. Let's call it a little feud, right? Those guys were beating the hell out of each other, but then they come up in a match, a hair versus hair. And then who comes from under the ring and ruins this match for us, man? Tell us a little story about you getting involved with the Austin Idol Jerry Lawler feud that eventually leads to you and Dundee being involved.
It it started, and I mean, we wrestled Bam Bam Bigelow, me and Austin did. I had to go to Japan, and they did a deal where they busted my balls on the post, so I was gone for 4 weeks, and they built the match up, and I come back from Japan, and I got out there about 4 in the afternoon. They pushed me out on the TV card under a mat. I had a air mattress and a 6-pack of beer, and I blowed the air mattress up, drank beer, and went to sleep. And anyway, I was under there till the main event. Well, till after the main event, I was under about 6-7 hours probably. And when the time was right, I come out, and then it was all on. We were stuck in that ring for about 30 minutes. I had to call extra police. That's back when heat was heat, too. I mean, you don't see that no more. This business, you got to have good guys and you got to have bad guys. And everybody wants to be in between. You know, I mean, you got to have good and you got to have bad. That's the way it's always been. And I think that's the way it always will be.
Oh, 100% agree. I mean, that's I've always been that's my old school philosophy. The whole tweener thing to me is a little baffling because you gotta want somebody to win and you gotta want somebody to get theirs, as I like to say, to really draw it in. But you know, I'm just an old school guy and you're just a legend, right?
I guess. I hear you.
But now I wanted to ask you because that, you know, that match led up to a scaffold match, one of the early scaffold matches of all times with you and Idol and Dundee and Lawler in a scaffold match. Now, what are your memories of that one?
Being scared. I told him if you watch any of my wrestling matches, I never got past that second rope for one simple reason. My nose started bleeding if I got up that high. I didn't like heights too much. And when you got up on that scaffold match at the Memphis Coliseum, you could look straight across and be about nose to nose with them people up in the top nosebleed section, they called it. Yeah, it was high. It was scary.
And now the one who took the most damage out of that match, though, was your manager at the time, Mr. Paul Lee. You got any good
Yes,
Paul?
Sir.
Share some Paul Lee stories. I know you got one because you had to run with him there and as well later down the road in the ECW days.
Yeah, Paul was just starting. I mean, he come along real well there, and then of course he went to ECW, and they give me an opportunity to come up there. Probably one of the best jobs I ever had, man. Just getting to run my mouth, taking a few bumps every now and then, being the Big Don, the full-blooded Italian boy. And there again, them Yanks didn't like that too much either. I told them I throw a pie in their face.
It's heat. Just like you said earlier, heat, right? That's the important part.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't be in between. You either got to be good or you got to be bad. And I enjoyed both of them. I love being good. I love hugging the mamas and the babies and shaking hands and all of that. But at the same time, when I had to be bad, I liked being bad. There wasn't no in between for me. I was one or the other.
Well, speaking of bad, again, like I said, I love hopping out of order because I just think that's the fun. I like to talk. But let me ask you, another guy who does draw heat that I know you worked with for a little while up at Smoky Mountain. You got any good Jim Cornette stories that you got?
Oh, Jim, I've known Jim, when I first started out, I started in Tennessee and we'd wrestle at the Louisville Gardens, and him and Eddie Gilbert both would take pictures, they were young, of course I wasn't but 18 when I first started, so they were probably anywhere from 12 to 14, something like that, and they'd come take pictures and send them in to Bill Abner, for the Wrestler Weekly, and, I've known them since they's kids. I went to Smoky Mountain, had a good run there. I've been pretty blessed everywhere I went.
Well, you pretty much had a good run everywhere you went. Wouldn't you have to say that? I mean, you like you said, you were blessed. I mean, but you were hitting on all cylinders pretty much everywhere you went.
Yes, sir. And there again, thanks to those fans who loved me, and thanks to those who hated me when I was bad. Because if not for them, it wouldn't be none of us anyway.
Well, and then, you talking about how blessed you were. Let's talk about it because everybody always tells me. I mean, I would be remiss if I do not ask you, if I had you on an interview and I did not ask you about April 27th, 1981 in Augusta, Georgia, right? You know where I'm going. You wrestled at one of the toughest SOBs that, they talk about in the business, and you won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Tell me a little story. I mean, going into that, what was the feeling knowing that you're going to be the NWA World Heavyweight Champion?
Well, I'm sitting here getting goosebumps right now, so that pretty much sums it up. But big shout out to Harley Race. I hear his health ain't the best right now. So I want to give a big shout out to Harley, one of the greatest world heavyweight champions of all time, if not the greatest in my book. But, Harley took an interest in me there again. I mean, I was just a kid in the man's world, and all these men took an interest in me and helped me and showed me different things. And I just had the greatest opportunity in the world, and I listened and learned. A lot of people say I was a wild-eyed Southern boy. I might have been there, but I sure soaked a lot of knowledge up too. So I want to thank all the guys out there that pioneered the way. I mean, you got King Kong Mosca, King Kong Bundy, Blackjack Lanza, Bobby Heenan, Baron von Raschke, Rock Hunter, Stan Hansen, the Andersons. I mean, Ivan Koloff, a great one we lost. Buzz Sawyer, a great one gone. It's just I was very lucky. I was very blessed is what it was. I called it luck back then, but things have changed in my life, and I know it's a big difference between luck and a blessing now. And why the good Lord always looked after me, I don't know. But I'm trying to improve my life and do things the way He want me to. So anyway, I mean, it's just very lucky, very blessed, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You capture the NWA championship. And it's funny because one of the things that I say, and it does mean something today. So I by no means disrespect what it's not disrespectful when I say what I'm about to say. But you won the world title when it meant something. I mean, it wasn't like the title wasn't changing every couple of weeks on TV or every month on a pay-per-view. And like I said, to go back, one of the things you said about Harley Race was an 8-time champion when it meant something to hold the title 8 times.
He was back when wrestling was wrestling. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, it's wrestling now, but it's night and day difference from the way it used to be. I mean, we used to wrestle 6 days a week, then it went to 7 days a week, and then you do TVs. You'd wrestling. Sometimes you'd wrestle 10 times in 1 week if you had TVs. So I mean, these guys they don't know, and they make more money than we made riding the whole week, and we had to do the miles. So. But I wouldn't take none of the miles back because each one of them was a learning experience. And like I said, Harley Race, the greatest champion in the world to me. I mean, and he chose me. It's a lot of admiration for it. And I think that's another thing that a lot of guys don't know is that I don't care if they know me or not, but the guys that pioneered this road for them to get there, they need to know the history. How you go, you got to know, if you take a history test, you got to know the history there. So if you're going to be a wrestler, you need to know you need to know the history of it.
Yeah, I'll give you a story it was a realization to me. I'm 43. I'm old is what I get told a lot around watching these, some of these shows that I go to. We're talking about history, and I'll tell you what was a big slap to me was, I'm sure a good friend of the show, Tennessee stud Ron Fuller, launched his Studcast, and we were talking about it the other day at a show, and I actually had a couple of wrestlers go, who? And I'm like, son, it's time for you to get a history lesson, and that's I think something that schools like yours, the new school you're opening up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Tommy Wildfire Rich School of Wrestling, guys, give them a call, 336-862-5528, and get in on the school, because I assure you, you're not going to learn how to work, learn how to sell, learn how to bump. You're also going to learn a little bit about history and the people that came in front of you when you go to Tommy Wildfire Rich's School of Wrestling. So I'm sure that's something you're going to throw in their education as well, right?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of film out there on old school, and you got to know old school to teach old school, and it's going to be a learning experience. Just not just the wrestling part. I mean, I'm excited about it, but just experience the guys. I go to some of these shows, and like you said, the guys, I go to the dressing room, one guy's got some boots, and one guy's got some tights on. So you're in a backyard show. What I'm going to be trained is guys that not only look like wrestlers, they know how to wrestle, and it's going to be a good experience. Myrtle Beach is a cool place to come learn. So anybody out there, you can phone my man Chris Marsh at 336-862-5528. And don't forget, we're having our grand opening. Will be August the 5th and 6th from 12 to 4 and 1 to 4 on Sunday. It'll be free admission, free 8x10. The Universal Heartthrob will be there. Mr. USA Tony Atlas and myself, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And my man David Brown will be there that made all this possible too. So y'all get a chance, come out and meet us. And for those that want to join the school, we'll have a little section there. My man Chris will be there. He'll be talking to y'all. And then we got a place we can go in the back and sit down and go over the details. So anybody wanting to join the school and just anybody in the community wants to come out and meet and greet with us and see what we're about. Hey, and let me tell you something. And another reason I'm so excited about where we're going to a place called the X Gym. It's located at 568 Bishop Parkway in Myrtle Beach. The zip's 29579, but it's got over 200,000 square feet. It's got a soccer field. It's got a basketball court. It's got a retired baseball player that teaches kids. They got gymnastics. They teach circus stunts. They got tanning beds, nail salon. They've got the 2 tons of weights for my boys to work out with. So it's the full-fledged, it ain't no playing. We're going to get serious. And I think it's going to be, they've already had some stars come out of there, and I plan on some stars of wrestling to come out of there too.
Well, that's what we're hoping. Sounds like you got a, like a top-notch, just top of the line, facilities there that these guys will have access to, which is a good thing. And like you said, give them a call at 336-862-5528. And if you lose the phone number, whatever, even reach out to us because, we get it a lot. Like I said, guys asking us, where should I go to school? Where should I go? And we're always trying to point them, close, somewhere close to home, but something that's reputable. And now, we're going to have a great, another alternative. We can say, hey, go learn from the Wildfire himself. Go up to Myrtle Beach. Like you said, hell, there's worse places to train than at the beach, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. I'm sure hating it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's really nice there. We went down a couple of weeks. Well, about a month ago, we went down for 2 weeks and we looked around and it's so wild. I talked to this David. I met him at a fan fest, and about 5 years ago, me and him got to talking. And anyway, one thing led to another, and about 6 months ago, we started talking about it. And it just seemed to, usually you have to 6 months to talk about it. It might be a year for something. This is all just filled together. So I really feel like it's the right thing and it's the right time. And there's a lot of kids out there that want to be wrestlers, and we're not going to run them off. If they want to be a wrestler, we'll tell them if they got the potential, they can sign up. And if not, we're not going to take their money.
Good. That's really good to hear because that's one of the bad stories that you hear out there a lot. But hey, and and the other thing, like you said, you're going to run shows where they're going to be able to work shows and stuff like that. Definitely, keep us in the loop. We'll keep that information. We can plug those shows, and I like to travel around, especially around the Southeast, and hit some shows. So definitely, I'll make it a point to make it up to one of those shows as well. Maybe the Halloween show. That's a good one for me. Typically that weekend. But and I know that's your admiration and respect for the fans is another one. So one of the things that I did is I did do a little reaching out to the fans and said, hey, I'm going to have on, I'm having Tommy Rich on the show. Give me some questions, some things you guys want to know. So I wanted to bring it. And, of course, I mentioned to you, we have some mutual friends. And so one of the questions that I was asked was, believe it or not, there was this is from the rocker, Terry Lawler, mutual friend, like I said. He said, one of the stories he'd love to hear you tell was when you had the feud with Ted DiBiase in Georgia Championship Wrestling, and you lost, loser leaves wrestling match. There was this guy that came in, Mr. R, who Ted was just convinced was you. He said, give me some stories about Mr. R coming into Georgia Championship Wrestling.
The mysterious Mr. R from Boston. Oh, yeah. Ted DiBiase. See, there's another great one I didn't even mention, Ted DiBiase. I had a run with him that we made big money around the loop with that. Just like I said, just very fortunate, very blessed. And I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank you, Nick, for having me on your show. And just all the response out there. I just want to thank everybody.
And so who ended up being Mr. R? Because I think I remember that story didn't end. Ted kept calling you out saying it was you, but then, of course, Mr. R was having a match with him on television, and you walked.
I think it was Brad Armstrong, wasn't it?
That's who it was. It was a young rookie named Brad Armstrong. God bless his soul. I mean, that's another one we've lost. We lost him way too young.
Yes, sir.
And I spoke to the Bullet just a couple weeks ago, and he was praising Brad Armstrong, saying that Brad might have possibly been one of the most naturally gifted wrestlers, had we not lost him so soon.
No doubt. Brad was a great talent. Hey, I just teamed up with Bob. We were down in Lakeland, Georgia, I guess last weekend. I teamed up with Bullet.
And it's funny. He told me he was still working, and I said, "You'll get a chuckle out of this," because I said, "Mr. Armstrong, you're still working?" And I said, "I apologize. That's the Southern boy in me. I call him Mr. Armstrong." He said, "Don't worry about that." But he said, "Son, when you throw 3 moves, it's not that hard to work at 77." He's like, "I got to kick, punch, and a stomp. That works pretty simple for 77."
Yeah, he's something else. We had a good time that night. Tore the building down.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, it's something. The fans are there. They want to see the hits, right? That's what they want. They want to see the greatest hits, and I can't imagine the roof popping on that place with Bullet Bob and the Wildfire hitting the ring. I mean, that's legendary stuff even to this day. I'm actually going to head down. I'm hoping to see him. They're doing a show, a Continental show, August 19th, that I'm going to try to make it down to and meet up with him and Mr. Ron Fuller Welch. They're both good, friends of the show that I'm real happy. So hopefully when we'll get up to August 5th and 6th, I'm hoping I can make it up to Myrtle Beach and see you there at the school opening. But before
you got an invite.
I'll you know what? If I'm getting a personal invite from Tommy Wildfire Rich, I don't think I can say no. I think it's going to have to happen. But one of the other questions that I got, and they said, one of the rumors on the road is you got some of the best Andre stories about you chauffeuring him around. So give me one or two of those, because I hear that's the story of legend right there.
Andre, well, the first time I met Andre, I was 18, wrestling in Louisville, Kentucky, and just bought me a brand new 76 Oldsmobile Regency. I couldn't afford the Cadillac. But anyway, they asked me to give them a ride. We had to go pick Frenchie up at the Holiday Inn. And I'll never forget it. Well, for 2 reasons. First, when I pulled in, it had like a horseshoe turn. Well, I run the car up on the curb, and it went kaboom, de boom. And I looked over, and I seen Andre's big hand. I thought, oh, Lord, I hope he don't hit me. And so anyway, we get Frenchie, and he said, beer, boss. That's about the only thing, because that's been 40 years ago. He couldn't speak a lot of English. So we stopped to get beer, and I drank Pony Miller's. And he come out, and he had a case of Pony Miller's. Well, 8-pack was plenty for me. And then, but he had him a case of quart Budweiser. And I'll never forget, I held that Miller in my hand, a 7-ounce, and he had that quart in his hand, and it looked the same, I mean, just like that quart in his hand looked like a little 7-ounce beer. Just shocked and amazed me. And then, of course, he just always, when he come to town, always me and Ricky Martel would take him with us. And, we closed down many of bars, and a couple of times he had me in one arm and Ricky in the other, where we tried to drink with him, but we couldn't. And he'd carry us to the car.
And his drinking is stuff of legend. That there really wasn't anybody in the business who could hang with Andre at the bar.
Oh.
Well, let me ask you. I got one more. This one's on a more. It's another buddy of the show, Steve the Brawler Lawler. You guys had a little run there for a while down here in Georgia, but he said you got to tell the story of the honey and the bear in Cornelia, Georgia. He said you would know what that meant.
Yeah, I brought my wife now for 40 years, but this is the first time she'd ever come to wrestling. Dick Adams had the wrestling bear there. And anyway, I told her, I said, watch this. And I got some girl had some honey in her bag, and I put it on them. He had 2 boys who was wrestling, and I put honey on their tights. And of course, the bear, all he does is snap bear you anyway, but he'd snap bear him. He had that muzzle on, and he'd start hitting them in the gonads trying to get that honey. They both ran out of the ring.
That's classic old school stuff. But hey, and I'm gonna let you turn the tables on those two. Those 2 guys gave me some stuff to ask you. Why don't you get the chance to turn the tables on the Lawler boys down here in Georgia? Tell me a good Steve Lawler, Terry Lawler story.
I don't know that I can tell none of them.
those are better left for off air. You can share those off air. We won't drag those guys' names.
I might kick some dirt on them. I started talking about them.
Terry's hanging it up in September. He's going to hang up the tights.
Is that right?
September 9th, I believe, is he's gonna go out. He's brought back the rocker gimmick, and he's gonna run that through the end. And I just watched him work a show about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, about a week and a half ago. And he's, like I said, he's a good friend of the show. I mean, I've known Terry for a long time, and it's a bittersweet to see him walk away. But I'm like I said, he's worked with the best. I mean, he talks about working with you for a long, long time.
Yeah, Terry's a good hand, man. It's always bad to see anybody go. But you got to move on sometimes. That's like me. I mean, I never thought I'd leave Georgia, and here we are moving to Myrtle Beach. So we all just have to turn a new page in our life, I reckon. So God bless him and best to him.
Well, and then, you're heading up to South Carolina for the obvious reasons we've talked about, but let's make sure we cover it again. Tommy moved to South Carolina because he's opening the Tommy Wildfire Rich's School of Wrestling. With the grand opening August 5th and 6th. It's from 12 to 4. Be joined with a meet and greet by Austin Idol and Tony Atlas. It's 568 George Bishop Parkway, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 29579. It's at the X Gym Sports Complex. And that phone number, if you guys want to join the gym, I mean, you can join right out of the gate, man. Just give them a call at 336-862-5528. Also wanted to let you know, if you have any, if you lose a number, you can call us. You can find Tommy Wildfire Rich on Facebook at Tommy Wildfire Rich. And of course, if you can't still are having trouble, shoot us an email. We'll make sure we'll get you taken care of, and we'll get you in touch with Tommy and him up at the school. Tommy, I can't tell you how happy I am. You got a story to go.
And as Freddie Miller would say, don't miss it. Be there.
Absolutely. This is definitely something you don't want to miss if you're looking for a good school to join. Tommy Wildfire Rich, the School of Wrestling in Myrtle Beach. And like we said earlier, there are worse places to train than in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Well, Tommy, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I appreciate you can't, like I said, there's a 10-year-old kid in me that's you can't even imagine how happy you've made him, and of course all of it. And like I said, if you can get me over with the mother-in-law, you've got some stroke, right?
Well, thank you very much. Hey, Nick, it's a pleasure being there, and thanks again. Hey, and everybody come out. August 5th and 6th, grand opening in Myrtle Beach. Don't miss it now. Come on.
Once again, I'd personally like to thank Tommy Wildfire Rich for coming on and being a guest on the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. It's been an absolute honor to have a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion on, telling some stories and sharing with us some information about the new school, the Tommy Wildfire Rich's School of Wrestling in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 568 George Bishop Parkway to be exact, in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 29579 at the X Gym Sports Complex. You can reach them at 336-862-5528. If you're looking for a place to break in the business, like we said a couple times there, man, there are worse places to train than on the beach of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, with the Wildfire himself. Grand opening is August 5th and 6th, 12 to 4. There'll be the meet and greet with Austin Idol and Tony Atlas. Definitely you don't want to miss out. Definitely, the Tapped Out Nation will probably have to make that trip up there to meet the Wildfire in person, as well as Austin Idol and Tony Atlas. But guys, hey, we enjoyed having them on, but we also want to let you know, if you have any more, people that you'd love to get us, have on the show, you can reach us at tappedoutvwrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us at Tapped Out Pod on Twitter. That is at Tapped Out Pod. Of course, we're on Facebook at Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. That's an easy one to find. But of course, man, we always tell you, if you enjoyed this and you've missed some of our past episodes, subscribe to us. We are on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, plenty of other. Search your player of choice. We're probably there. It's just we're on pretty much every platform you can think of. But definitely check us out. Some of the past interviews we've had: Ron Fuller, Bob Armstrong, Conrad Thompson, as well as some indie guys. We really like to cover these indie guys like we talked about during the show, to give them a little exposure. So check them all out. We've had the recent ones we just had this week was with the 13th Floor members, Chris Bullitt, Trevor Aon, Ike Cross, and of course Damian Bennett. But guys, we hopefully enjoy the show. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. It helps kind of spread the word a little bit about us. So we would greatly appreciate that. And then of course also make sure you're checking out all of our sponsors. We're at a Fight App affiliate. That link is on our Twitter. It's on our Facebook from time to time as well. But definitely on our website at tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com. Download the Fight App. Plenty of good wrestling action on there. And then also you want to make sure if you're looking for good ways to support us to keep these interviews like the one today with Tommy Wildfire Rich, go to Amazon. The Amazon link on our webpage. It's our affiliate link. Replace your old Amazon.com link with ours. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Just make your usual purchases. And of course, boom, we get a little bit of referral commission, call it what you will, just kind of to help support us, keep bringing these interviews like we have been. We would greatly appreciate that. And of course, other ways to support the show. We have our blueapron.com. That is on our website as well. Click that and get your blueapron.com. It's a healthy way to eat and an easier way to eat. It's a good meal, because it just shows up. All the ingredients are there. You just open it up, follow the instructions, cook it, boom, it's done. Don't have to worry about all those trips to the grocery store, food going bad, all that kind of stuff. It's just one, boom, it shows up and you're cooking and you're good to go. The wife absolutely loves it. Also, last but not least, if you're looking for a way to support the show, ProWrestlingTees.com, search Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network, buy the tee, put it on, help, just show that you are a part of the Tapped Out Nation. We would greatly appreciate it. Well, guys, that's, all we got. Again, I want to thank Tommy Rich again for coming on today. The Wildfire, the former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Can't say how thankful we are for having him on today. But with that, guys, it's time to tap out.